Hi. This is pretty cool, so I actually do have a question. I've been listening to your CDs for a long time in my car on my commute to downtown D.C. to work. And I've been listening to how people get in the hot seat, and so I figured I would try to get a grid going on that, and wow, it actually worked.
And threw her out. It was that good.
So a couple of questions. Well, first a statement. First, thank you. I discovered you kind of by accident in a bookstore about 5 years ago. Have really listened.
Which was the grid filling in.
Yeah.
In other words, in a place where the grid filling in.
Yeah, I mean, I was asking, and boom, there it was. Been to a couple of seminars, kind of sat in the background and listened, got a lot out of that. But I've really applied everything that I've been able to kind of soak in from you, from listening to other people on the CDs, etc. And I first have to say thank you. It's been amazing. So professionally, a few years ago when I discovered you, I was promoted into a job that was, at least it appeared to me, way above my head, and I was terrified. That got me through it, and not only got me through it, but has made me really successful to the point where people are asking me, how did you accomplish what you accomplished in this job? We've been trying to do this for a decade. You did it in a couple of months, and of course, I know.
My grid filled in.
Yeah.
Hard to explain it to them in that way, but that is what happened.
It really
Your grid
is.
filled in.
Yeah. So I've been called by my boss, who's a vice president, I've been called Pollyanna. I've been called, you're looking at things through rose-colored glasses. He's said to me when I try to give him reports on things, rose-colored glasses alert, that kind of thing. But I say to myself, okay, that's okay, because I know, I can feel it, I know where this is going. And then he's the same guy that's saying, that's a miracle, how did you do that? So thank you for that.
Rose-colored glasses.
Yeah, they work. They're good. I'm keeping mine on. So that's been great. I'm finding also things I've wanted to do personally, like I'm building a new house and some other stuff that I've had to let the grid fill in on that also. So here's my question. There's still something that I need a little bit of guidance on. What I'm finding now is when I feel the contrast, mostly at work these days, but sometimes outside of work, there's that emotional punch in the gut. And it really hurts sometimes. It's really painful. Now, the good thing is I know I've done my focus wheels and my lists of positive aspects and my hour-long commute to and from work. I mean, your CDs are playing all the time. And so I know how to pivot. I know how to work through it. I do that, and I found it used to take me weeks. Then it took me days. Now it takes me hours. But there's still that punch in the gut that's really painful. What do I do about that? How can I reduce that?
It's a perfect question, and here comes the perfect answer. We want to give you the general answer first, and then we're going to fill it in. The general answer is accept that contrast is a good thing, that it's part of the process, and that you're not inappropriate in the attracting of the contrast that feels uncomfortable, because nothing is more discordant, and therefore nothing feels worse to you than to blame yourself for your behavior, because you are accustomed to accomplishing. So now that you are applying this law of attraction philosophy, and you are deliberately setting the tone of your frequency, when contrast appears, you are just for a moment shining a spotlight of blame on yourself that goes something like, I should at all costs avoid all contrast, which isn't true. It doesn't even make any sense, but that is what you're doing. So if instead of trying to convince yourself that you've made a mistake, which will give you a pain in your gut, rather than trying to convince yourself that you've done something wrong or that something is wrong, if instead you will say, contrast is the basis of expansion, and I embrace this as a right action and a right experience, because clarification is coming out of it, because I don't want to open my winery before it's ready. In other words, I want exposure to life, and I want to have the experiences to help me to define. So this is a contrasting moment, but more important, this is a defining moment. And a creator has many, 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 many defining moments. They will never stop.
Yeah.
If you will talk yourself down from blame about doing something wrong. Esther does this too. She says to herself, it doesn't serve her, and we're working with her to talk it down too. I've been at this for a long time. I should be better at this than this.
Yeah.
I should have done a better job, and that contrasting experience should not have happened. I should have prevented it, is the attitude that she and you are both having about that.
Yep.
But that doesn't square with anything that you've been learning from us at all, which is contrast is the basis of your identification of what you are wanting. Is an important first step, or an important clarifying step in what you are wanting. And so that contrasting moment, the I know what I don't want moment, should be as important and as delicious to you as the I know what I do want moment, because without one there cannot be the other, you see. So instead of saying I made a mistake, or I took someone on a wild goose chase, or I took myself on a wild goose chase, or I shouldn't have done that, I shouldn't have gone there. If instead you say, this was an important step in the evolution of my desire, in the clarification of who I am and what I want, and I will be better for it, having lived this experience, and I embrace all of it, and I appreciate all the cooperative components who shared in this contrasting moment, because I'm clearer now about who I am and what I'm wanting. Ooh, doesn't that just soothe that, you see?
Well, thanks, because that kind of confirms what I've been doing. And that's, I think, how I'm able to get myself to turn around, to pivot that fairly quickly. I guess that sometimes very strong punch in the gut emotional feeling, even if it's just for a brief period of time, is just part of it, right?
But you know why it feels like a punch in the gut? It didn't get there instantly. But the moment that it came on strong and hard like that was in a moment of self-condemnation every single time.
I see. That makes sense.
Every single time. Because nothing will take you faster out of the vortex or further from who you really are than being mad at yourself when the source within you is adoring you in such a strong way.
Oh, that's really good. Yeah.
That's what it is every time. Every time.
Okay.
It didn't start there, but it got to there before it punched you in the gut.
Boy, that's the piece I needed.
Yeah.
Can I ask you one more question on a different subject? And this just occurred to me yesterday. So I was looking at YouTube, and I just happened upon a video that was talking about ghosts, and it was about the Queen Mary in Long Beach, and it was these paranormal investigators saying, there's ghosts in this cabin.
There better be.
What is that all about?
Well, if you want continuity of life, you want to be really happy about the non-physical attention that you all are getting. In other words, the support of your planet is much more about non-physical attention than it is about physical attention, because frankly, you're not paying that much attention.
Right.
Esther came home. She stayed with her daughter Tracy and the grandchildren for a day or two last week. And they were having fun with Halloween decorations and all, and putting tombstones in the front yard and stringing cobwebs over everything. And they have a great little old man who greets everyone at the door and says something creepy to them. And so they were having a very good time with the decorations. And then Esther went home. And it was after dark. And as she got into the house, some furniture that she had purchased had been delivered, and it's been in another building for a while, and on that day these new pieces of furniture had been placed in the house. And so Esther is walking through the house, and she is laughing because Jerry said to Esther on a regular basis, let's not junk it up, because he likes very clean lines, and Esther has been junking it up. Just a little. And so she's walking through, and she's feeling delighted about the placement of this table, which is fabulous, just like it was in her mind's eye. Winery. And this cabinet in the bedroom that just like it was in her mind's eye. In other words, everything, 4 new pieces in the house, and each of them perfect. Nice. Just like they were in her mind's eye. So she's walking through the house, and saying to Jerry, well, so, honey, I hope you like these pieces because I really do. And the car alarm went off in the car. And she thought, oh, and then the light over the hutch began blinking. Because Esther's house is haunted, you see.
Cool.
Because Jerry is aware and involved.
Yeah, very cool.
This room is haunted, not just with Abraham, but with the inner beings of that which is you. In other words, you are far more than the physical beings and you know. And so when you come to accept that there is a point of focus that is flowing to you and through you, you see. Now, there's a lot going on that topic, and people have all kinds of expectations about it, and everything in the universe is accommodating your expectations. But we just want you to know that you are eternal beings, and that when you start something, it's the reason that you keep returning to the work that you are doing. In other words, you have come forth to create in this magnificent environment, you see, and there is no such thing as death, and you never get it done, ever, 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 ever. And so it would be a good idea for any of you to talk with anyone who you think has information. Jerry helps Esther in the editing of every recording. He helps her in the selection of the things for the quarterly journal. He's involved in the process of the things that she's talking about the next format, about the next seminars. In other words, involved in all of it just like he always was.
Awesome.
You see. So when Esther embraces the idea of the reality of that which is Jerry, even though she can't see it and hear it and smell it and taste it and touch it in the way she used to adore to doing it, still there is a reality that is Jerry. There is a reality that is non-physical, that is as tangible as you are willing to allow it to be in your experience, you say.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Yes.